Welcome back into Sports Blitz Live. We're going to jump right into another guest. This one from AL.com, Mr. Gary Estwick, who just wrote an incredible article on college recruiting and how it affects the parents and the families of some of these recruits that aren't necessarily getting to go to places like Alabama or Auburn or LSU. Gary, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Read your article the other day and really fascinating stuff. What stood out to you the most while you were researching this?
Well, one thing I'll tell you, and this is not in the story, but I was talking to a player from one of the schools, and then he told his dad, and his mom told his parents about the story I was going to write. And the first comment one of the parents had to me was, "How much is this going to cost?" And I laughed, not to make fun, but it made me realize just how much some families will pay if they, to try to help that child's dream, even if it's not realistic. So when you hear stories of kids spending thousands of dollars for recruiting expenses, and they're not even juniors and seniors in high school, it makes sense. And this is not. I'm not here to badmouth recruiting services or trainers or kids taking a dozen or more visits in the summer, because everybody does different things, and it's okay to chase a dream. But I think, certain coaches will say, hey, you have to be honest with yourself and have someone around you that can be honest with you. You might want to go to Alabama, but you might be a UAB talent. You might want to play for South Alabama, but the best place might be for Miles College. You can aim high, but don't put all your eggs in a tree that you can't reach. That was kind of, I think, the gist of what I got out of it.
Yeah, one other thing that stood out to me, some of the expenses for going to the camps and driving to the various locations to get seen, and then, of course, making the not heartbreaking, but gut-wrenching decisions about which camps to go to. The expenses can add up to $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a year, which essentially could be the price of a tuition. So really, it could be counterproductive. You might not get that scholarship you want, and you've spent another $5,000, $6,000.
Yeah, the scholarship, and that's actually what made me first think about doing this story, because I had a mom some months ago that was talking about all the different expenses her son went through to try to get in position to get a scholarship, and said, hey, by the time he probably gets one, I'll probably going to pay for college 3-4 times over. And it was a joke, but it's still set in. It's not all about, for every player, about paying for college. It's for the opportunity. So yeah, you could pay if you're an Alabama Alabama high school football player. You could just go to the University of Alabama just to be a student. It's not the cheapest, but it's certainly not the most expensive. It's about having the right to be on someone's college football roster. So guys will chase that dream, and when it comes to figuring out which camp you go to, probably the best knowledge I got from that is you want to go to schools that have shown you some level of interest. If you haven't heard much from South Alabama, then that might not be the best place for you to go. Or if you do, make sure you at least add in your camp schedule some schools that have shown you some interest. You've got to find a balance. Just like if we're going for a job, I'm going to apply for a couple of jobs. I know I can get a couple that I have a 50-50 shot at, and a couple that might be a stretch, but I'm projecting that, in the future I'll be ready for it. So again, that whole eggs in the basket thing, I think that's really important. The kid from Montevallo, Zach Oden, his dad Paul really stood out to me. He said, hey, when I had to tell my son no before, I'm thinking, man, and as a father, is he going to miss out on a potential scholarship offer because I said no? And, hey, he said, hey, I guess I got to work some more overtime shifts. So it really shows you how much parents care. But at the same time, some high school football coaches will say, hey, you have to temper that enthusiasm for financial spending and be smarter with it. There's a lot of things you can do for free, whether it's ACT, SET courses online for free, working out with your team. You don't necessarily have to have a personal trainer, not that it hurts. camps are great, but go to a mega camp where there's going to be more than 40, like the one that was at Stanford. There's more than 40 colleges there. So you can be a little thrifty when it comes to colleges. I don't even think you have to have a recruiting service. You can get a Twitter profile. They're free. You can put a video together on YouTube. So there are ways you can navigate recruiting and spend less money. I think families are going to have to be smarter about that in the future, because you can't spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 and your child is not even a junior yet in school. Those costs really can add up for families.
Well, and there's a part in the story where one family spent over $1,000 for some recruiting service that they really got nothing out of. It's hard to know who's reputable, who's not, and just like you said at the beginning of this interview with the family that said, well, how much is this going to cost? And they had no idea that this was going to be something free that you were doing, and it wasn't even necessarily about them. They're just so used to being gigged that they didn't know any better. Another quote in here that struck me, this is from one of the questionnaires you had in the article. If you leave your recruiting success up to Friday nights, I think you do yourself a disservice. That's true, because what concerns me as a high school football fan is kids are going to put less and less emphasis on the results on the field for game night and more emphasis on how they perform in camp.
You're absolutely right. Put it this way: what's the big thing that separates high school basketball from high school football? It's that you still have to play the game of high school football to get a college look. Where in basketball, hey, there are not many examples of this, but you could not play for your high school team as long as you play for an AAU team and still have a really good shot of getting a scholarship. Players are now banking on potential. You have guys that right now are in the class of 2020 talking about how I want to get, I'm working on getting a scholarship. In the class of 2019, I think it's because social media makes it look so easy. How many times have we all logged into Twitter, for example, and somebody's blessed to receive another offer? It just seems like it's everywhere. And we know those offers aren't binding. We know that. But think about it. If you're a family that it's the first generation of having someone who is worthy of recruiting, it just seems so easy to get a scholarship. But it's really not. I think those are a couple things I'd love to see change, although it's not going to happen overnight. If offers were binding, the moment I got an offer from a school, I can sign then all the way through signing day. Or if you move up those official visits you get as a high school senior, why not have those your junior year? Because all these guys are spending so much money on unofficials and for summer camps because they can't wait until their senior year to make their first contact person to person. We wouldn't do that if we were doing a job interview. You want to meet your future potential boss. You want to meet your potential coworkers before you sign on the dotted line. So I love to see the NCAA talk a little bit more about moving up those unofficial visits. If you're going to offer kids that are in 9th grade, 10th grade, they can't wait 2-3 years. For the school to pay for it themselves, or don't offer them so young. That's the other solution.
You interviewed so many great and fascinating kids in this story, and one of them, Joshua Jones from Carver, Birmingham. He talks about he caught 8 touchdowns last year, which is very nice. It's very good. He's going to go to a lot of camps and try to impress. But he's 5'4", 124 pounds. At least that's what he's listed in the article. Yep. And I thought to myself, at 124 pounds, I would say probably every punter in college football is bigger than he is, right? I mean, it seems like he's facing an uphill battle.
Absolutely. And I know from personal experience, like I was a 4th-string receiver in a 3-receiver rotation, so I played the bench more than anything. But I'm not going to fault a guy for chasing his dream. And just to be clear, his football coach, Rod Carson, said he is the best offensive talent at Carver, Birmingham, which is certainly not a football powerhouse, but they're definitely improving. The problem is this. You can't wait with college football recruiting the way it is right now. you really can't wait until your senior year to have a breakout year to get a scholarship. You really need to have that breakout year as a sophomore, because college football coaches are looking at how fast is your 40, what's your height and weight, how high can you. They're looking at numbers more than anything. I had a coach tell me just today when I went to the 7-on-7 at Parker, heart is not in the equation right now. Heart is not in the equation. So you definitely got to have those numbers, and you can't wait. You can't be a late bloomer like a few of us were. I know I was a late bloomer. You really got to make your mark as a sophomore so you can get attention early, because late bloomers, you're not. It's really hard to get an offer. Big schools, you guys talk about it all the time. Alabama, Auburn, SEC, outside the SEC, they're already they're working on classes 2017, 2018, 2019 right now already.
That's absolutely correct.
It's the smaller schools that are working on kind of year by year. So if you want to have a shot, especially at a bigger school, you've got to produce earlier in high school. And again, so that's why we see these families spending money, because they see where the trend is going, so they're trying to keep up with it.
You know, it's funny that I've been talking about this and who's not this size, so they can't go to this school, when just this past season, Josh Jacobs, a kid out of Oklahoma, burst onto the scene very, very late. Alabama ends up offering. He signs with the Crimson Tide. AL.com has done a pretty good story on him in the past. And then AL.com puts out their top 100 players from the state of Alabama. David Palmer is number 100, and he's really, he should be in the top 5 if you ask me. But he was certainly undersized, but just an incredible talent, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime guy.
Absolutely, but see, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about, it's almost like baseball. You're talking about potential. We're grading potential, not what you've done. And it's not an exact science. We're all human beings. There's no way you would put a kid that's 5'4", 124 pounds, and those are actual numbers, on your college football team. If you had a chance of getting a guy that plays that same position that's, let's say, 6'4" and 205 pounds. There's no way. You're always going. If you have a quarterback that's 6'4", you're always going to want a quarterback that's 6'5". If you have a defensive back who runs a 4.42, you're going to want one who runs a 4.41. It's a race for numbers, and that's never going to change. The only thing that does change it, if the team can't get that guy who runs a 4.41 instead of a 4.42, then they'll go back to the 4.42 guy. That's the only difference, and I hear players complain about that all the time. But that's just the way it is, because the same way players get to choose the colleges get to choose the players. So it's a wacky system. It certainly has changed over the years. I'm just waiting for the day where some kid in elementary school who just rides who's playing flag football, gets a really early call from Nick Saban.
Well, Gary, thanks again for being on with us tonight. Great article, and hopefully a lot of folks go out there and read it. It's a lot of fun information.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
There is Gary Estwick from AL.com. We appreciate his being with us. We're going to go to break. We'll be back in just a minute with more Sports Bliss Live.